Have you ever seen a mother ban her own daughter from Thanksgiving dinner? Not because of a fight, but because the daughter's job wasn't prestigious enough to show off to guests. 5 days before the holiday, my mother called with a simple message. Your sister is bringing her wealthy boyfriend to meet the family. She doesn't want you there. Your blue-collar teaching job would embarrass her. I said, I understand, and hung up. What my family didn't know was that I'd been quietly controlling a $14 million inheritance, the exact money my perfect sister was counting on for her dream wedding. And when they discovered the truth 5 days later and came pounding on my door in panic, the tables turned in ways none of us expected. My name is Mara Ashford, 33 years old. This is that story. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The call came on Sunday, November 23rd at exactly 6:15 p.m. I remember because I was grading papers on the progressive era, and I'd just written excellent analysis on Malik Johnson's essay about labor reform. The irony wouldn't hit me until later. There I was, celebrating a student's work on workers' rights, while my own family was about to remind me exactly where I stood in their hierarchy. Mara, my mother said, her voice carrying that particular blend of forced warmth and underlying steel I'd learned to recognize decades ago. We need to talk about Thanksgiving. I set down my red pen. In the Ashford family, we need to talk never preceded good news. What about it? A pause. The kind of pause that comes before a blow wrapped in silk. Callie is bringing Nathaniel to meet the family. You know how important this is. Nathaniel Cross. I'd heard the name approximately 100 times in the past 3 months. CEO of Cross Capital, a private equity fund managing over $420 million. Callie's ticket to the life she'd always believed she deserved. That's great, I said, and I meant it. Despite everything, I wanted my sister to be happy. I'm looking forward to meeting him. Another pause, longer this time. That's actually what I wanted to discuss. Callie thinks it might be better if you weren't there this year. The words landed like stones in still water. I watched the ripples spread through my chest, familiar and cold. I'm sorry, it's nothing personal, Mara. It's just Nathaniel comes from a very particular world. Finance, investments, that sort of thing. In your career choice, it might send the wrong message. My career choice, as if I'd stumbled into teaching by accident rather than fighting for my certification while working 2 jobs to pay for grad school. Mom, I have a master's degree in education. I've been teaching for 10 years. Exactly, her tone shifted, as if I'd just proved her point. 10 years and you're still making what? 61.54. Not that it mattered. The number would always be too small in her ledger. Callie is a marketing director now. She works with investors, high-net-worth individuals. She needs Nathaniel to see that the Ashford family is compatible with his world. I thought about last Thanksgiving, the way my mother had introduced me to the Hendersons from her book club. This is Mara, my older daughter. She teaches. That pause, heavy with unspoken disappointment. Callie, of course, is in corporate marketing. The shift in her voice, from flat recitation to proud announcement, had been subtle enough to seem accidental. It wasn't. I thought about the email she'd sent 3 months ago requesting my contribution to Callie's engagement party. Since you don't have a family of your own to support, I'm sure you can contribute a bit more. $3,300 should cover the flowers and part of the venue. I'd transferred the money the same day without a word of protest. According to the National Education Association, teachers earn significantly less than comparable college-educated professionals. I knew that statistic by heart, not because it made me feel like a victim, but because I taught my students about systemic inequities, about how society chooses which work to. Have you ever seen a mother ban her own daughter from Thanksgiving dinner? Not because of a fight, but because the daughter's job wasn't prestigious enough to show off to guests. 5 days before the holiday, my mother called with a simple message. Your sister is bringing her wealthy boyfriend to meet the family. She doesn't want you there. Your blue-collar teaching job would embarrass her. I said, I understand, and hung up. What my family didn't know was that I'd been quietly controlling a $14 million inheritance, The exact money my perfect sister was counting on for her dream wedding. And when they discovered the truth 5 days later and came pounding on my door in panic, the tables turned in ways none of us expected. My name is Mara Ashford, 33 years old. This is that story. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The call came on Sunday, November 23rd at exactly 6:15 p.m. I remember because I was grading papers on the progressive era, and I'd just written excellent analysis on Malik Johnson's essay about labor reform. The irony wouldn't hit me until later. There I was, celebrating a student's work on workers' rights, while my own family was about to remind me exactly where I stood in their hierarchy. Mara, my mother said, her voice carrying that particular blend of forced warmth and underlying steel I'd learned to recognize decades ago. We need to talk about Thanksgiving. I set down my red pen. In the Ashford family, we need to talk never preceded good news. What about it? A pause. The kind of pause that comes before a blow wrapped in silk. Callie is bringing Nathaniel to meet the family. You know how important this is. Nathaniel Cross. I'd heard the name approximately 100 times in the past 3 months. CEO of Cross Capital, a private equity fund managing over $420 million. Callie's ticket to the life she'd always believed she deserved. That's great, I said, and I meant it. Despite everything, I wanted my sister to be happy. I'm looking forward to meeting him. Another pause, longer this time. That's actually what I wanted to discuss. Callie thinks it might be better if you weren't there this year. The words landed like stones in still water. I watched the ripples spread through my chest, familiar and cold. I'm sorry, it's nothing personal, Mara. It's just Nathaniel comes from a very particular world. Finance, investments, that sort of thing. And your career choice, it might send the wrong message. My career choice, as if I'd stumbled into teaching by accident rather than fighting for my certification while working 2 jobs to pay for grad school. Mom, I have a master's degree in education. I've been teaching for 10 years. Exactly, her tone shifted, as if I'd just proved her point. 10 years and you're still making what? $61.54. Not that it mattered. The number would always be too small in her ledger. Callie is a marketing director now. She works with investors, high net worth individuals. She needs Nathaniel to see that the Ashford family is compatible with his world. I thought about last Thanksgiving, the way my mother had introduced me to the Hendersons from her book club. This is Mara, my older daughter. She teaches. That pause, heavy with unspoken disappointment. Callie, of course, is in corporate marketing. The shift in her voice, from flat recitation to proud announcement, had been subtle enough to seem accidental. It wasn't. I thought about the email she'd sent 3 months ago requesting my contribution to Callie's engagement party. Since you don't have a family of your own to support, I'm sure you can contribute a bit more. $3,300 should cover the flowers and part of the venue. I'd transferred the money the same day without a word of protest. According to the National Education Association, teachers earn significantly less than comparable college-educated professionals. I knew that statistic by heart, not because it made me feel like a victim, but because I taught my students about systemic inequities, about how society chooses which work to value. I just never expected to become a case study in my own family. Mom, I said carefully, I could come after dinner, just to say hello, meet Nathaniel. Callie was very clear, my mother's voice hardened. She doesn't want you there at all. Please don't make this difficult for me, Mara. Don't make this difficult for me, as if I were the one wielding the knife. I looked around my apartment, the 1-bedroom in Plaza Midwood I'd called home for 6 years. The secondhand couch I'd reupholstered myself, the bookshelves overflowing with history texts and lesson plans. The small kitchen where I packed lunches at 5:30 every morning because I couldn't afford the cafeteria prices. This was the life that embarrassed them. I understand, I said. The words came out automatically, worn smooth by a decade of practice. I understand when she forgot my birthday but threw Callie a surprise party. I understand when my promotion to department chair went unmentioned at family dinner, while Callie's new office got a 20-minute discussion. I understand when I wasn't included in the family photo for the Christmas card because the photographer charged extra for more than 4 people. I understand the 2 most expensive words I'd ever learned. Good. Relief flooded my mother's voice. I knew you'd be reasonable. You always are. We said goodbye. I set down the phone. For a long moment, I sat in silence, watching the last light fade from my window. Malik's essay still lay on my desk, his words about dignity and fair treatment glowing under my lamp. Then I opened my laptop. There was a folder I hadn't touched in months, labeled simply Grandma Ruth. Inside was an email from Eleanor Voss, attorney at law, dated November 19th. Subject line, Re. Annual Trust Review, Ruth Ashford Trust. I've been avoiding it, avoiding the questions it would force me to answer, the decisions it would demand. I closed the laptop again, but for the first time in 10 years, when I went to bed that night, I didn't cry. I felt something else entirely. A hollow space where my patience used to be, and somewhere in that emptiness, something new was beginning to grow. The phone call replayed in my mind throughout Monday. I stood in front of my 3rd period class explaining the causes of the Great Depression, while Diane Ashford's voice echoed beneath the surface of every word. Your career choice might send the wrong message. I taught these students about economic collapse, about how entire families lost everything, and my own family considered my salary a source of shame. Miss Ashford, a hand went up. Destiny Coleman, sharp as always. You okay? You seem kind of somewhere else. I forced a smile, just thinking about how history repeats itself, Destiny. Sometimes in ways we don't expect. That night I calculated the stakes of silence. If I accepted this exclusion, if I simply nodded and stayed home like a good invisible daughter, what came next? Easter, Christmas, Callie's wedding, all of it happening without me, one holiday at a time until I became a ghost in my own history. But the financial stakes were real too. My mother had already set the precedent of extracting money from me whenever convenient. The $3,300 for Callie's engagement party, the $2,750 loan last year for my father's fishing boat repairs, never repaid, never mentioned again. The constant implication that since I was unmarried and childless, my money was somehow communal property. If I remained silent, the requests would only grow, and I'd keep paying because that's what the family disappointment does, to earn her seat at a table she isn't welcome at anyway. Around 9 p.m., my phone buzzed. A text from my father, Walter. Sweetheart, I'm sorry about Thanksgiving. Your mother says it's for the best. I love you. I stared at those words for a long time. Walter Ashford, 61, retired accountant, lifelong bystander to his wife's decisions. He'd never once stood up for me, not when I was passed over for opportunities, not when my achievements went unacknowledged, not when my mother made me feel small in 100 tiny ways. But he always said he loved me, as if love without action meant anything at all. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened Eleanor Voss's email again. My grandmother, Ruth, had died 2 years ago at 83. She was the only person in my family who'd ever truly seen me. When I graduated from my master's program, she'd driven 3 hours to attend while my parents sent a card. When I got my first teaching job, she'd taken me to dinner and told me she was proud. When I confided my frustrations about feeling invisible at family gatherings, she'd taken my hand and said, Mara, you're not invisible. You're just surrounded by people who've forgotten how to see. I hadn't understood what she'd done for me until after she was gone. The email read, Dear Miss Misjed, Ashford, as per our annual review, the Ruth Ashford Irrevocable Trust currently holds assets valued at $14,762,930. As sole trustee, you have full discretionary authority over distributions under Section 4.2 of the trust document. Please confirm your distribution intentions for the upcoming fiscal year by December 1st. I read the number twice, then a third time, my coffee going cold beside the laptop. Callie was the sole beneficiary. I was the sole trustee, the person who controlled when, how, and whether that money ever reached her hands. My grandmother had made that choice deliberately. She told me in one of our last conversations, Callie isn't bad, Mara. She's just never had to learn the value of anything. I want you to teach her. The only way she'll understand. I'd kept the secret for 2 years. I'd told no one, not my parents, not Callie, not anyone, partly because I didn't want my family's relationship with me to be about money, partly because I wasn't ready to wield that kind of power. But now, sitting in my dark apartment, freshly exiled from Thanksgiving dinner because my teaching salary might embarrass my sister in front of her wealthy boyfriend, I began to reconsider. Not revenge. That wasn't what Grandma Ruth intended, and it wasn't what I wanted. But boundaries. Accountability. The right to exist in my own family without apologizing for who I'd become. I had held this secret for 2 years, and I was beginning to wonder if it was finally time to let it breathe. Thanksgiving Day arrived, gray and cold, the kind of November afternoon that makes you want to pull the curtains and forget the world exists. I woke at 7 out of habit, made coffee, and tried not to think about the family gathering happening 15 miles away without me. By noon, I'd graded 29 essays. By 3, I'd reorganized my entire bookshelf by historical period. By 5, I'd accepted that no amount of productivity could fill the hollow space in my chest. I made myself dinner, a microwavable turkey breast, instant mashed potatoes, canned berry sauce, eaten standing at the counter because sitting at my small table felt too formal for a party of one. At 8:47 p.m., my phone lit up. A text from Callie with a photo attached. "Thanks for understanding, sis. Nathaniel loved the dinner. He said our family is so put together, Labal." The image showed my entire family seated around my parents' mahogany dining table, the one Grandma Ruth had given them 30 years ago. Diane beaming at the head, Walter looking slightly uncomfortable but smiling, and Callie glowing beside a dark-haired man in an expensive sweater. 4 place settings, no empty chair where I should have been, so put together. I studied the photo more closely. My mother was wearing the pearl earrings I'd given her for her 60th birthday, the ones she'd said were simple but thoughtful. Callie was wearing a cashmere wrap that cost more than my monthly rent. And there, on the sideboard, was my grandmother's silver tea service, the one she'd promised me before she died, because I was the only grandchild who'd ever helped her polish it. My mother had kept it. Of course she had. At 9:15 p.m., another text from my father. "Sweetheart, I'm sorry, your mother said this was best for everyone. I love you." I typed 3 different responses and deleted them all. I called Jenna Cruz instead. Jenna taught AP English at my school, and she was the only person outside my family who knew about the trust. "Please tell me you're not alone," she said. "I'm alone, Jenna." I told her about the text, about the photo, about the smiling faces arranged around a table that had no room for me. "Mara, when are you going to stop letting them treat you like this?" she finally asked. "I don't let them. You do. You pay for their parties. You show up when they call. You apologize for existing, and they keep taking because you keep giving. What am I supposed to do?" "You have options," and we both knew what she meant. "I've never wanted to use it as leverage," I told her. "I know," she said, "but there's a difference between leverage and accountability." "Your grandmother didn't make you trustee by accident," Jenna said gently. "She saw something in you. Maybe it's time you saw it too." After we hung up, I opened the trust document. 52 pages of legal language I'd only skimmed once before, in a fog of grief and disbelief. Now I forced myself to focus. Section 4.2, Paragraph 1. The trustee shall have sole and absolute discretion to determine the timing, amount, and conditions of any distributions to the beneficiary. Sole discretion. Absolute. I thought about Callie's text. Nathaniel loved the dinner. Our family is so put together. I thought about the empty chair that didn't exist because they'd never set a place for me in the first place. I thought about my grandmother's voice 2 months before she died. "One day you'll understand why I chose you, Mara. One day you'll need this. And when that day comes, I want you to remember. You're not powerless. You never were." I wasn't ready to make decisions that night. But for the first time in 2 years, I was ready to stop pretending this choice didn't exist. My grandmother had given me a key. The question was whether I was finally willing to use it. Friday morning, November 28th, I woke up with a plan. Not revenge. I'd never wanted that, and Grandma Ruth wouldn't have wanted it either. But clarity. I called Eleanor Voss's office at 9. I was wondering when I'd hear from you, she said. The fiscal deadline is Monday. I know. I'd like to meet today if possible. 2 o'clock works, she said. Her office was in South Park, a converted brownstone with brass fixtures and leather chairs. Eleanor Voss was 56, silver-haired, and carried the kind of calm authority that made you feel everything would be handled properly, even when your world was falling apart. She'd been my grandmother's attorney for 20 years. Let's review the basics, she said, spreading the trust documents across her desk. Your grandmother established the Ruth Ashford Irrevocable Trust in June, roughly 7 months before her death. The trust holds various assets, stocks, bonds, a rental property in Matthews, currently valued at just over $14 million. Callie is the sole beneficiary, but you, as trustee, control all distributions. Eleanor tapped Section 4.2, highlighted in yellow. This is broader authority than most trustees receive. Ruth was very specific. She wanted you to have complete discretion over timing, amounts, and conditions. She told me she wanted Callie to learn the value of things, and she thought you would teach her. The money was just the mechanism. Eleanor's eyes met mine. Your grandmother told me. Mara is the only person in that family with the spine to say no and the heart to say it kindly. Those were her exact words. What are my options for the annual distribution? I asked. You can authorize a standard distribution, I asked. You can authorize a standard distribution. Callie is currently eligible for up to $225,000 a year. You can defer distribution to the following year. You can add conditions, financial literacy courses, employment verification, or you can modify the schedule entirely. And if Callie contests it, she can petition the court, but your grandmother's language is airtight. Unless you act in bad faith, your discretion is virtually unchallengeable. She spent considerable money ensuring that. I'm not ready to decide today, I said, but I want to understand my options before Monday. Of course, there's one more thing, Eleanor added. Your grandmother left you a personal bequest, separate from the trust, $48,000, unrestricted. You've been drawing from it for charitable donations, I believe. The Queen City Winter Gala, I've contributed for the past 2 years. She handed me an envelope. This arrived last week. Your invitation for this year's event. Heavy cardstock, embossed lettering, and inside, a badge with my name in gold. Mara Ashford, founding donor. The gala was tomorrow night, Saturday, November 29th, at the Vandermeer Hotel. Black tie, 450 guests from Charlotte's financial and philanthropic elite. The same event Callie and Nathaniel were attending to make their social debut as a couple. I looked at the badge in my hands. For 2 years, I'd attended this gala anonymously, slipping in, making my donation, leaving before anyone could ask too many questions. I hadn't wanted my family to know, but they thought I was an embarrassment, too blue-collar to sit at their Thanksgiving table, too low status to meet Nathaniel Cross. And tomorrow night I would walk into the same room they did, wearing a badge they couldn't buy. Ms. Voss, I said, I'd like to schedule a follow-up meeting Monday morning before the deadline. I think I'll have more clarity by then. I think you will too, she said, with the first real smile I'd seen from her all afternoon. I walked out into the cold November air, the founding donor badge tucked carefully in my purse. For the first time in 10 years, I felt like I had a right to walk into a room without asking permission. Okay, I need to pause here for a moment. If you've ever been treated like you're invisible by your own family, if you've ever had to choose between your self-respect and belonging, type enough in the comments below. And if you want to know what happened at that gala, hit that like button and keep watching. Trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. Now, back to the story. The doorbell rang at 4:23 p.m. that same Friday. I wasn't expecting anyone. I peered through the peephole and felt my stomach drop. Diane Ashford stood in the hallway, flanked by Callie and my father. My mother pushed past me without waiting for an invitation. We need to talk about grandmother's trust. The words hit me like cold water. They knew. How did you? I started. Nathaniel's financial advisor, Callie, interrupted, following our mother inside. He ran a background check on our family. Standard procedure, apparently, for someone at his level. Imagine my surprise when he mentioned a $14 million trust with my name on it, a trust I never knew existed. Walter entered last, closing the door behind him, saying nothing, as always. "You're the trustee?" Callie's voice rose. "You, a teacher making barely $50,000 a year? This has to be a mistake. Grandma wouldn't have put you in charge of anything important." My mother raised a hand, silencing her. "Mara, sweetheart." Her tone shifted, softer now. The same voice she used when asking for money. "I'm sure this is all very confusing. Estate matters are complicated, but we're family, and families should handle these things together." "You mean you should handle it?" "I mean, we should make sure Grandma's wishes are properly honored," she said, pulling a folder from her purse. "I've had our attorney draw up paperwork to transfer the trustee role to me." "No," the word hung in the air, simple, absolute. "I'm sorry?" "No." The word hung in the air, simple, absolute. "I'm sorry?" "No, I won't sign that." "Mara, be reasonable. Grandma Ruth chose me," I said, drawing on 10 years at maintaining calm in front of difficult students. She had lawyers, doctors who confirmed her mental competency, and 2 witnesses. The trust is legally binding and properly executed. Callie stepped forward, her face flushing. "You don't know anything about money. You teach teenagers and ride the bus to work. And you work in marketing at your boyfriend's company because he hired you as a favor. You embarrassed us at my engagement party too, showing up in that department store dress like it didn't matter." I watched her flinch. "Enough." My mother's diplomatic mask slipped. "Mara, you're being selfish. This money is for Callie's future, for her wedding, her security. Do you want to stand in the way of your sister's happiness? I'm doing exactly what Grandma asked me to do. And what is that exactly? Making sure the money is used responsibly. The walls of my building were thin, and I was fairly sure Mrs. Alvarez in 3C had already cracked her door open, getting better entertainment than her afternoon shows." Callie's voice dropped to a hiss. "You're embarrassing us again. It's what you do. You would have embarrassed us at Thanksgiving if we'd let you come. And now you're embarrassing us by pretending you're capable of managing anything more complicated than a lesson plan." I thought about all the times I'd absorbed comments like these, and about my grandmother's hand on mine. "You're not powerless. You never were." "You need to leave," I said. "I'll be at the gala tomorrow night," I added, the words emerging with surprising clarity. "If you want to discuss the trust, we can do it there." Callie laughed. "You weren't invited." "Actually, I was." I pulled the badge from my purse, gold letters on cream cardstock, founding donor. I've contributed $48,000 over the past 2 years. For the first time in my life, I watched my mother's composure crack completely. "That's not possible," she said. "The organization has records. Feel free to verify." Callie snatched the badge, staring at it as if it might burst into flames. "Where did you get that kind of money?" "Grandma Ruth," I said, taking it back. "She left me a personal bequest, separate from the trust. I honored her memory." The silence that followed was profound. I'd spent 33 years being the invisible daughter, the embarrassing career choice, the seat that wasn't worth setting, and in 30 seconds I'd upended everything they thought they knew about me. "We'll discuss this tomorrow," my mother said finally at the gala then. "We will." As my father passed, he hesitated. "Mara, not now, Dad," I said. He nodded once and followed the others out. I closed the door and listened to their footsteps fade. My hands were shaking, but not with fear. Tomorrow night I would stand in the same room as my family at an event they considered their territory, and for the first time, they would see me as I actually was. The Queen City Winter Gala occupied the grand ballroom of the Vandermeer Hotel, a space designed to make ordinary people feel small and wealthy people feel magnificent. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light across 450 guests in designer gowns and tailored tuxedos, the ambient conversation humming with talk of portfolios, philanthropy, PM, property values. I arrived at 7:15 p.m. On Saturday, wearing a simple black dress I bought on clearance, but the badge pinned to my chest, Mara Ashford, founding donor, outshone every piece of jewelry in the room. The board specifically asked me to express their gratitude, a staff member told me. My grandmother believes strongly in your mission, I said. For 2 years, I'd attended these events quietly, arriving late, leaving early, avoiding attention. Tonight was different. I spotted them across the ballroom at 7:32. Diane in emerald green, Walter uncomfortable in his rental tuxedo, and Callie radiant in a silver gown beside Nathaniel, tall, dark-haired, carrying himself with the easy confidence of someone who'd never worried about a bill in his life. At 7:48, Nathaniel noticed my badge. I saw the moment it registered. He said something to Callie, whose face went pale, and then he was moving toward me, pulling her along. "Excuse me, I'm Nathaniel Cross. I wanted to personally thank you for your support of the foundation." "Thank you. I'm Mara Ashford." I watched the name land. "As in Callie's older sister?" He turned to her. "You told me you didn't know the woman with the founding donor badge." "I didn't recognize her at first. The lighting," Callie said. "Your sister has donated nearly $50,000 to a foundation I've supported for years, and you didn't recognize her." Nathaniel's tone cooled by several degrees. Diane materialized at Callie's elbow. "Nathaniel, darling, have you seen the silent auction items?" "I was just thanking your daughter for her charitable contributions," he said. "Ms. Ashford, I apologize. I was told the family would be attending, but your name wasn't mentioned." "I'm not often mentioned," I said, and it was true, and I was tired of softening it. "Nathaniel, please, this is family business," Callie said. "What's complicated about it?" he said, his voice sharpening. 15 minutes ago, you told me you'd never seen her before. Mara, I didn't expect to see you here tonight." A new voice entered, calm and perfectly timed. Eleanor Voss approached in a navy gown. "I hope we're still on for Monday morning. There's quite a bit to discuss regarding the annual review." Nathaniel's attention sharpened. "Review?" Miss Niles' attention sharpened. "Review. Ms. Ashford is one of my most valued clients," Eleanor said blandly. "She manages a substantial trust with remarkable diligence. Your mother made an excellent choice, Mrs. Ashford. The Ruth Ashford Trust is in very capable hands. Mara manages the trust?" Nathaniel looked from me to Callie. "The trust you told me was being handled by the estate." "I didn't." Callie's face had passed pale and was approaching white. "You thought, what exactly?" he said. "I think," I said quietly, "that you two have things to discuss. If you'll excuse me." "Ms. Ashford," Nathaniel's voice stopped me. "I apologize for whatever role I played in tonight's confusion." "You didn't know," I said. "No, but I'm starting to." "All right, I know what you're thinking right now." "Mara, that was satisfying." Or maybe Callie absolutely deserved that. Drop a comment and let me know whose side you're on. And if you've ever had a tables turned moment like this in your own life, I want to hear about it. Hit that like button, the ending might surprise you. Now back to it. I found Eleanor near the silent auction tables. "That was more dramatic than I anticipated," she said. "I didn't plan it." The best confrontations rarely are. "After tonight, do you have a clearer sense of your intentions?" "I want to defer distribution for 12 months, I said. "On what grounds?" she asked, pulling a small notepad from her clutch. Even at galas, Eleanor came prepared. "Beneficiary readiness. I want to require Callie to complete a certified personal financial management course before she receives any funds. That's within your authority. And I want to inform Nathaniel about the trust's existence not to sabotage the relationship, but because he deserves complete information. Reasonable. And I'm not transferring the trustee role to anyone. I'll continue serving as my grandmother intended." "Ruth would be proud," Eleanor said. "Not because you're punishing your sister, you're not. Because you're finally using the authority she gave you." Callie found me a moment later, alone, her silver gown somehow diminished by the fury in her eyes. "I hope you're satisfied." Her voice was low but venomous. "Nathaniel wants to reconsider everything. Because of you." No, I kept my tone even because of choices you made, lies you told. I just happened to be standing in the room when the truth became visible. You ruined my life. I corrected a misunderstanding. You've always been jealous of me, she said, because I'm successful and you're just a teacher. I stepped closer. I'm not doing this to hurt you, Callie. Grandma Ruth loved you. She wanted you to have this money, but she also wanted you to become someone who deserved it. I deserve it now. Then prove it. Take the course. Demonstrate you can handle responsibility. In 12 months, we can revisit the distribution. You're making me jump through hoops for my own inheritance. I'm doing what our grandmother asked. You've never had to earn anything in your life, Callie. Maybe it's time you learned how. I hate you, she said, and walked away without another word. My mother found me next, predictably. You've gone too far, humiliating your sister in public, interfering with her relationship. This isn't what family does. Is it? I said. What about banning someone from Thanksgiving because their job might embarrass the family? Is that what family does? That was different. How? For once, Diane had no answer. Mom, I said quietly. I didn't come here to start a war. I came because I was invited, because I've been contributing to this foundation for years, honoring Grandma Ruth's values while you dismissed me as an embarrassment. Everything that happened tonight happened because you and Callie chose to hide truths and tell lies. I'm going to keep being trustee. I'm going to require conditions before Callie accesses the funds, and I'm going to stop pretending that being treated as invisible is acceptable. What do you want from us? She asked. And for once, the question seemed genuine. Respect, I said. Not because of money or status, but because I'm your daughter. I've spent 33 years trying to earn a seat at your table, and I'm done. Either I belong in this family as I am, or I don't belong at all. My father appeared at the edge of it all. Tell her she's right, my mother said. She's right, he repeated, his voice stronger than I'd heard it in years. We've treated Mara terribly. Ruth saw it, I saw it, and I never did anything. He met my eyes. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. I should have said that a long time ago. I just nodded. We should go, my mother said finally, taking Walter's arm. This isn't the place. No, I agreed, it isn't. I left the gala at 10:47, the badge still pinned to my dress. For the first time in 10 years, I felt free. The fallout began within 48 hours. Nathaniel told Callie on Sunday he needed space. By Monday, their engagement was on indefinite hold. Word spread through their social circle fast. By Tuesday, Callie's position at the company had become untenable. She wasn't fired. Nathaniel was too polished for that. But she was encouraged to explore opportunities that might better align with her long-term goals. Translation, her presence had become awkward, and everyone knew it. She cleaned out her desk on December 3rd. My mother fielded calls all week from her social circle, all mining for details about the scandal that had become the talk of the gala. The stories everywhere, Jenna reported over coffee. People love an underdog story, Mara, especially one with receipts. I signed the deferral documents Monday morning, December 1st, at Eleanor's office. Distributions to Callie were suspended for 12 months, pending completion of a certified financial management program. Your grandmother would have handled it exactly the same way, Eleanor said. She wasn't interested in punishment, she was interested in growth. Nathaniel's assistant had also reached out. She added, he'd like to meet you privately. No pressure. I'll consider it, I said. My father's email arrived that afternoon, 3 pages, apologizing for 33 years of silence, acknowledging my mother's treatment had been unfair, his own failure to intervene. He didn't ask for forgiveness, just said he wanted to do better. Callie's text came December 5th. Fine, I'll take your stupid course, but don't expect me to thank you. I replied, I don't expect thanks, I expect results. Good luck. She didn't respond, but Eleanor confirmed her enrollment 2 days later, 12 weeks, starting mid-January. A local